Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we are here today to finally sit down and talk about war games. I played about 4 or 5, actually I think like 6 hours of it today, just hanging out in war games 24/7 over on PC, got some of the Purple Army crew, got some of the AVIC crew, hung out and had a lot of great matches across the different game modes, and instantly fell in love. War games is everything I hoped it would be, and a hell of a lot more. Before we talk about that though, we need to clear up some things. There was a bit of chaos, a bit of a storm that happened this morning with the release of this DLC. Number one, the patch somehow launched at 3 o'clock in the morning on PlayStation 4. So PlayStation 4 users got the DLC super early, but they also got a version of the DLC that wasn't supposed to have stuff in it. They got a version that had the phase shift nerf, that supposedly had changes to the G2 as well as to Stim. Now it also had a change to amped weapons as well as to the Stalkers. Those are two changes that Respawn has decided to keep in. These are changes that they did want in that didn't make their way into the patch note. The other changes have now been deactivated. So the version of the game you're playing has everything that was in the patch notes, plus a new amped weapons that now only has a 30-second timer on it, and Stalkers, which now explode and do damage to your Titan when you step on them. So let's start by talking about that amped weapons nerf. This is something I think the game absolutely needed. Amped weapons, you may or may not know, is kind of a plague, especially on PvP. Great players use amped weapons to become even better players. They slaughter, they manage to cut their time to kill, you know, like another 25 to 50% off of what it was already, and they just go to town in pilots versus pilots. And then you got people stacking 6 or 7 of these things, just laying it on. There wasn't a whole lot of risk and reward, or I should say there wasn't a whole lot of risk to the reward of activating amped weapons before, especially when you had so many of them. The only real concern was that you could be killed as soon as you activated amped weapons, and that's kind of a joke in the community, but it was the only risk. So adding that 30-second timer now puts us in a situation where the risk goes beyond being killed. It also goes with actually activating it at the right time to get the most use out of it. Now let me say this, I think 30 seconds might be a little bit too short. I do agree with people saying 30 seconds isn't a whole lot of time. I think it is actually a lot of time when you consider the window between when you activate it and then when you actually get to targets. Even in a game as fast as Titanfall 2, there's a lot of opportunity to really mess that up and only get maybe 5 to 10 or 15 seconds out of amped weapons. Now at the higher skill spectrum, I think players at the higher skill level shouldn't be worrying about this too much. Most of you are great at reading the map, whether you're playing attrition or bounty hunt, and in pilots versus pilots, we know where the enemy spawns. People are still going to be able to use this thing to really hose the enemy team down. But we have to think about people on the lower skill spectrum who maybe aren't as fast and who don't have great spawn knowledge. Hell, I don't have great spawn knowledge. I don't really run amped weapons, but one thing that I could think that could happen for lower skill spectrum players is that they could have even less of that time actually utilized. So they activate amped weapons, and then maybe after 25 seconds, they finally figure out where their enemies are, where their target is, or they actually stay alive long enough to even use it. They don't really get that much out of it. So I think potentially increasing it to 45 seconds could benefit everyone and still keep it as a more restricted ability, because I do agree that it needed to have some restrictions put in place. Let's talk about the Stalkers. So here's the thing about Stalkers. When I first heard that this was a part of that PlayStation 4 build, well before Respawn released their actual update saying, hey, we didn't know to put that in there, or we wanted to put this in here, and here's why, I was trying to make some sort of a justification to be positive during this video and say, there's gotta be a reason. They wouldn't just do that on accident. There's no way it's a bug. You know, why would they do that? And the first thing that came to mind was to cut down on people being able to simply walk over batches of enemies in bounty hunt and attrition to rack up points rapidly. As it turns out, that's exactly why they did it. And I think they meant well here, but I think the end result is something that just feels a bit too random, especially in attrition. Attrition is a mode, while yes, very playable from the perspective of someone who farms a lot of AI, and farming AI can often be very important, but a mode where it's just not really at the forefront of the experience. Most people are just going full-on player versus player in attrition and cleaning up a few grunts here and there. Now all of a sudden, they gotta watch out for Stalkers, because these things are gonna eat away like a bar and a half of their Titan health. Again, I get the idea, I just think maybe that's a bit too much health. Especially when you consider how many Stalkers can be found in a group or in multiple groups, you can do a lot of damage to your Titan. It's just one of those changes that has kind of snuck its way into the game right now, and I can imagine there's a whole slew of players out there who don't even know the change has been made, who are going to start losing all this HP from their Titans and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. It's something that needs to be made very clear in-game as quickly as possible, and I would like to see the damage from the Stalkers reduced quite a bit, or maybe even make the Stalkers take less damage. That way it's easier for pilots to simply clean them up, because right now, they take a lot of damage from the primary of just about every Titan weapon in the game. Again, maybe that's the direction they want to push things. When we talk about Bounty Hunt, I actually really like that idea there. I think it's a great idea in Bounty Hunt. I just don't know that it fits or works as well in something like Attrition. Just my thoughts. We'll have to see how it plays out long term. Of course, feel free to share your thoughts on both amped weapons as well as this new change to Stalkers down in the comment section below. Let's talk about War Games. As I said, guys, I've been blown away by this map. To me, it's possibly better than Glitch. I really like Glitch. I think Glitch has some amazing combat flow, but I also think Glitch is a map that is very focused on one particular type of game flow. It's, you know, it's really all about mobility. There aren't a lot of tight corridors. We get a few interior spaces on Glitch, but those spaces are more open. There's not a lot of CQC combat going on with the gunfights. War Games has like the best of both worlds. Like I said, when I looked at it and when I remembered playing it in Titanfall 1, it felt like it could be a combination of Glitch and like Colony and Attrition, right? Bringing those two things together, and I think that's exactly what it is. We've got some great open flowing environments that are really great for pilot combat, lots of big wall run areas, lots of linkable wall run locations. We've also got big open exteriors that are great for Titan combat, making it, what at least I feel, is a very good LTS match, and when I played, I can't wait to play it in Titan Brawl. But then we've got lots of interior spaces that really mix up the gameplay. So if you're playing something like CTF or Amped Hardpoint, for example, you go from this big open flowing combat zone where you're blasting across, you know, landing dope Kraber shots, throwing cross-map fire stars, you know, going as fast as you possibly can, and then all of a sudden you're in a confined area with like multi-tier levels. Both of the bases have like 2 floors in them, so you're fighting these objectives in there, you know, playing the close quarters game, making use of your fire stars and all of your different ordnance equipment to pull enemies out of amped hardpoints, to grab the flag. Just diversity. That's the biggest word that I can think of when it comes to War Games, and I think it's the reason that this map is so fun. Outside of all of the game flow and the diversity in the map design, it's just a map that looks really good. You know, the VR element, the whole aesthetic they went with the intro, starting in the sim pod, has just been very well handled. It's a map that is very fun to be on. I like the glowing neon. I like being able to look out past this sort of, you know, virtualization of this battle zone that we're in and see larger cities in the distance, you know? It's one of those maps that invokes a lot of thoughts about lore. I think in anyone who really looks at the outside of the map and says, damn, that's beautiful. Like, what is that out there? Why is that there? Respawn, give us some more lore. You keep dropping all these cool maps. I want more lore, man. Glitch had good lore. There's a little bit of lore behind the VR thing, but I just would love to be able to put it all together at some point. It's just another great, you know, visually designed map from Respawn. There's not too much else I can say about War Games other than to tell you guys to definitely hop into the 24/7 playlist and give it a go. Right now, I think it is a map that, much like Glitch, works rather well across multiple game modes. That's one of the biggest issues with a lot of the base Titanfall 2 maps. And even Angel City and Colony, you know, they're not necessarily great on all of the different game modes. Some are and some aren't. I think, much like Glitch though, War Games is another map that just works well in LTS, in objective-based modes like CTF and Amped Hardpoint, as well as pilot-focused modes like Pilots versus Pilots. It works great in Attrition. You know, I think it'll probably work well in Bounty Hunt. I don't know if they're going to throw it into the Bounty Hunt rotation. I would definitely like to see it there. I'm most curious to see how it plays out in Titan Brawl. You know, this is not a full traditional 3-lane design map. While we do have 3 lanes, there's a lot going on in terms of interior spaces that sort of cut the lanes apart as a pilot, but as a Titan, it feels much more 3-lane with some more expanded like backspawn locations that give us a little bit more diversity when it comes to flanking routes. There's a lot of cover for Titans. It makes it a really good chessboard for Titan combat. So I think Titan Brawl could be like supremely good on this map, and I'm looking forward to it popping up in rotation when I'm playing Titan Brawl. Let me know your thoughts, guys, on everything, amped weapons, the changes to Stalkers, and any time you spent playing War Games. What are your thoughts? Love it? Hate it? What do you like about it? What do you don't like about it? Did that make any sense? I think it did. Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, remember to play smart, remember to play to challenge yourself, but most importantly, remember to play for fun.